This LeetCode challenge is called Valid Palindrome. This is LeetCode 125. So here we have a phrase. We're going to receive that phrase as a string. It's called s. Is going to be the parameter to a function called isPalindrome. And that function has to return true if the string s is a palindrome and false if s is not a palindrome. When we compare the characters to make sure that we have a palindrome, we need to convert the uppercase letters into lowercase letters. And then we need to exclude alphanumeric characters. So if after doing this processing, the string is still reading the same forward and backward, it means that s was a palindrome. Now here they say alphanumeric characters include letters and numbers. So s, like I said, is the parameter, and this function that we have here is a Boolean function. So if we have a string like this here, a man, a plan, a canal, and then Panama. Here you see that we have commas and spaces in between the words, and even here we have commas, and here there is a colon, and then Panama here is an uppercase letter, but A here is also an uppercase letter, but the rest are lowercase. When we process this string, we need to convert everything. That is why you see that A here is a lowercase character, even though in the inputs it's uppercase. Likewise, Panama here, you see that Panama here, everything is lowercase because it was converted. So we need to run through this string and only compare the alphanumeric characters. This means that the spaces and the symbols, punctuation and everything, these characters are going to be removed from the string. And then we're going to end with a string like this, and that is what determines if a string, the input string here, is a palindrome or not. The approach I'm going to use will make use of two different pointers. And by pointers, I don't mean pointers like programmatically, such as C++ pointers, where we have variables pointing to location in memory, so they store addresses and so on. I'm not talking about this type of pointers. Instead, I'm talking about two different arrows that are pointing to different positions inside of the inputs. And because the string is an array of characters, this approach works pretty well when you want to process a string linearly and compare the characters. So here I'm going to have two variables. You see I and j, and I'm using them through as my solution. But the first thing we need to do to make sure that we pass all the test cases and that we make our code a bit efficient is to verify if the size of the string, this parameter here, this input, if it's less than 2, then it's automatically a palindrome. So for example, if we receive the character j as input and it's only one character, well, j forwards and backwards is the same thing. It's only one character, so it means that the input was a palindrome. Otherwise, if there are two numbers, if there are two characters or more, we need to start comparing. For example, if we get AB as a string, these are two characters, but AB is not a palindrome, because if I reverse AB, I'm going to get BA, which is not the same as the input AB. On the other hand, if I get some input like double A, as in the character A twice, then this in reverse form is the same thing. So that would be a palindrome. Now, what I'm going to do is have two pointers. My first one, calling it I, is pointing to the beginning of the array and is going to traverse my array of characters, my string here, is going to traverse it from index 0 towards the middle. And then j here is going to start at the end and is going to traverse the string backwards. So from the end towards the middle. But it's not guaranteed that these two pointers are going to reach the middle, because we're going to have this while loop, which is going to do some processing so long as I and j have not met. So this depends on how the string is constructed, what kind of content it has, and this while loop will terminate once this condition fails. So this function here is alpha is going to check if the character is an alphabet or not. If it is, then we need to verify, is it an uppercase alphabet letter? If it is, then we need to convert it to lowercase format. Otherwise, if the character on the left side, as we are processing the string, is not an alphabet, then we need to move our left pointer, the I pointer, until we meet an alphanumeric character. So here I'm saying, whilst it's not an alphabet and it's not a digit, because digits are allowed here, and I is less than j, meaning we can still traverse from the left towards the middle, then I'm going to push my pointer until I meet an alphanumeric character. Once I meet an alphanumeric character, then I can make sure that I convert it to lowercase. Just in case it's uppercase, I'm going to convert it and then store it in SI. So now I've transformed whatever value was there to a lowercase character, if it was indeed an alphanumeric character. We do the same logic here for the J side. So I'm going to check on the right side, meaning from J towards the middle. If a character is an alphabet, then we're going to check, is it uppercase? If it is, convert it to lowercase. And if the character was not an alphabet in the first place, then we need to push the J pointer until we meet an alphanumeric character. And then we make sure that we have lowercase formats. Then we can compare the two characters on the left side and on the right side. If a string is a palindrome, then the characters on the left side should match those on the right side. So if this fails, it means that we were not dealing with a palindrome, in which case we return false directly. Otherwise, we keep exploring the array by pushing I towards the middle and J towards the middle as well. And if this entire while loop finished processing the string and we never returned false, it means that we had a palindrome. So let's run this code with, I think this is going to be the input string, a man, a plan, a canal, and then Panama. And we pass the test case. There is one line that I have here, is just for debugging purposes and make my solution a bit clearer. It's a cout statement. Let's print what is happening as we compare the values in our string. Now I have this section here. So on the left side here, everything that you see is S index I, and on the right side, everything you see is S index J. So as we compare this A versus the ends A here for Panama, we get A versus A. We do the same thing for man, the M from man and the M from Panama. We compare it here and we keep going until they meet. So they meet at canal, this C here, and that is when we are done processing the string. So we never returned, therefore this was a palindrome. So now that I'm going to submit my code here, I'm going to remove this line altogether. Otherwise it's going to slow down the code, because to print, it takes a bit more time. So let's submit this code now. And we've passed the test case. So I have a couple of submissions that I made here, but the code passed well. So that's it for the solution of Valid Palindrome. This was a LeetCode challenge, LeetCode number 125. If you like my solution in C++, please subscribe to my channel and I'll catch you next time.